what do you know about our guest today?
Well, he has gone through so much and has kept his faith and is helping others overcome what they are going through.
Right. He is known as a giant killer.
Well, wait, Dad. You gotta make sure you say that right. 'Cause I was
Not like a giant killer. No. A giant killer means that he helps little Davids overcome their huge Goliaths.
Yeah.
And he doesn't just overcome them, he slays them. Our guest today is a graduate with his master's degree in social work and is focused on counseling individuals experiencing traumatic injuries and diagnosis. He's an author and speaker with an extraordinary story that shows others how not only to survive, but to live successfully through their own paralyzing challenges.
Well, without further ado, please welcome the author, We Are All Paralyzed, Brandon Sulser.
Brandon Sulser,
Thank you so
yay,
much.
welcome. How are you?
Doing wonderful. Thanks for having me.
Excellent.
Thanks for being on here.
Glad you're here. Glad you're
Thank you.
here.
Yeah.
This, your book, We Are All Paralyzed. This is a fantastic book. Talking to you about your coaching with Press Forward, all that. We're going to get to that in just a second.
Yeah.
But what we want to do is have some fun,
Love it.
get to know you. We got some fun rapid fire questions.
About 12 of
Okay.
them. Okay,
You ready?
ready?
Let's do it.
All right. What is your favorite zoo animal?
Ooh, the elephant.
Awesome. What's your favorite holiday?
Christmas.
Who makes you laugh the most?
Kells.
Kels, all right. And what is your favorite show to binge watch?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
The favorite show to binge watch lately, The Chosen.
Ooh, that's a great one. I
Love
love
The
that.
Chosen.
Yeah,
What's
watch
your-
The Chosen.
Yeah. What's your favorite fast food chain?
It depends if it's breakfast or lunch. If I had to pick one, it would probably be McDonald's.
Yeah.
McDonald's is pretty good.
Yeah.
That's what we had for
I was like,
breakfast.
yeah.
Hey, that's what I had for breakfast too.
Oh,
Hey, all right.
Think alike.
so,
What movie do
yeah.
you quote the most? Do you have a favorite
Oh,
movie
man.
that like you're always like throw
Yes.
out?
Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah?
Yes.
Wow, I'd love to hear some of the quotes from that.
okay, so I have a question. What do you collect? Do you like collect anything? My brother collects like Dr. Pepper cans. I don't know. I collect like antiques. Do you have anything that you collect?
Well, when I was younger, I used to collect baseball cards and football cards because I thought that was going to be my retirement someday.
Yeah. I have a whole case full of worthless basketball cards.
Yeah, see? Yeah.
I mean, we all think they're
That's
worth
awesome.
something, right?
All right, we just ate Bean Boozled, rotten eggs. What is the
Terrible.
craziest, weirdest thing that you've ever eaten?
That's probably, for me, it'd be alligator.
Yeah?
Yeah, I thought that was,
Alligator?
That is crazy.
it was actually
That's
pretty good.
crazy.
So,
Yeah?
Really?
yeah.
Nice.
I wasn't being boozled that time.
You actually knew you were eating it.
Well,
Right.
who is your favorite school teacher? Like, out of all the years?
Oh, geez. Mrs. Kilpack.
This is Kilpack.
Yeah, Colorado
Awesome.
teacher.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how funny are you?
Oh, man. If it's coming from me, I'm a 10. If you ask someone
Alright, well,
else,
good.
you
Yeah.
might not be as kind.
Well, we'll keep it at 10.
Awesome. Last question.
Okay, what band would you be a member of? Like, any band?
Oh, man. I love music. That's a great question.
Yeah.
It would either be U2 or
Never
it
heard of
would
that.
be
Yeah.
the Police.
Or the Police?
Yes.
Nice.
Oh,
Great
nice.
answers.
Yeah.
That's
Great
awesome,
answers,
yeah.
both of them. I'll explain who U2 is later.
All right, well,
I know
listen to
you've
some
heard their songs.
It dated me, didn't it?
It dated both of us. It dated both of
Well,
us.
that was awesome. Yeah.
Yeah,
for
thank you.
doing
All
that.
right, so our audiences get to know you just a little bit. And
Have some fun.
yeah, if you have anything in common with Brandon, by all means, comment in the comments below.
Yeah.
Let us know what you got in common with Brandon. If you've tried alligator, let him know. All right.
Yeah, I don't
We
know
need
if
to
I
get
would
through
try
some
that, but-
serious questions to why you're here. What is, one of the things I love about this show is we've been finding out that everybody has a story. And you've got amazing story. But we call this the music and the message because though everybody has a story, not everybody has a message. And one of the things I love about you, your book, everything you're doing is there's also a message. So first of all, we need to let our audience know what are the 4 life-altering events that you share in your book, We Are All Paralyzed.
Well, it's a good thing I'm sitting down to explain this, because it does take some time.
Yeah.
I've been what's felt like been bean boozled a few times, right? And sometimes you spin things, you hope you're grabbing for the right thing, but you don't always get that. Sometimes you get dog food, jelly beans, and I saw that reaction, and I'm like, I'm glad I'm not playing that game. But when we go through our difficulties, we learn to value so much more when we actually pick up the right jelly bean, where you have the blueberry, taste.
Right.
We value that much more because of what we've learned. My 4 major trials all taught me a lesson. They were all weaknesses. And through all of them, it's always taught me this one key principle, is that life's not always beautiful, but our outlooks can be.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And that game was, I've got to have a positive outlook. My next spin, I was going to land on the right, jelly bean.
Right.
But I've always found that there's always a message in the details. I believe God's in the details with everything in our life.
Yeah.
And we're here to be remodeled. And we're here to be broken.
Yeah.
And I've learned that when we're broken, that's when we're truly strong. It humbles our hearts. It makes us teachable. It makes us realize is that we cannot go through life with our own natural strengths. Right. We have to rely upon a higher power, and we have to grow spiritually, mentally, and physically. And each one of them has taught me how to press forward.
Yeah.
And I fully believe that when we have trials, they can either define us or refine us. Yeah. And my whole goal is teaching people how to press forward by having them be refined. And after one of my accidents talks about how I broke my neck. And that's why I'm sitting down. And one thing I've learned is once I sat down in a wheelchair, I learned a couple of truths right off the bat. I was bedridden for like 75 days. And so when I got into this metal chariot of freedom, I was sitting down and I realized a couple of things. First of all, life is not always fair.
It's true. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's so true. It's not fair.
That's one of the things that I don't mean to interrupt. I teach my kids. They're like, it's not fair. It's not fair. I'm like, look, life isn't fair. It is balanced. There's a yin and a yang. There's an up and a down. There's a positive and a negative. Yeah. It may not be fair, but it is balanced. There's other things in your life. Right. There's other things in your life that are off balance to somebody else. Anyway, sorry.
No, it's
interrupt your train of thought.
It's a great point. So life's not always fair, but also life is never level.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is when I'm sitting down, I always have the gravitational pull trying to pull me downhill.
Yeah.
Now where I live in Utah. Utah's beautiful. It's I live in the base of the Wasatch Front.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
10,000 foot peaks and there's a lot of hills. And so once I'm in a chair, I realize that I always have gravity trying to pull me downhill.
Yeah.
And I've learned that's whatever situation we're in, we have the gravity trying to pull us down. Yep. So how do we overcompensate? How do we overcome that? Well, we have to press forward. And I learned that you have to have vision.
Yeah. You
have to have strength and you have to have effort. And so how do I do that sitting down? Well, I learned that I had to hold on to my wills.
Right.
And by holding on to my wills, I'm able to press forward through situations where gravity wants to pull me downhill. Now, if you ever see me rolling downhill and being out of control, I can guarantee you it's because I've let go of my wills.
Right. Right. But that's obviously a metaphor for our lives, that if we let go, if we just kind of give up and just coast through life, there is a negative draw in our lives that by not moving forward, by not taking the steps, the push, whatever, that, emotionally, spiritually, intellectually, if we're not stepping forward, there is a negative draw. There's a negative pull that's always pulling on us.
Absolutely. When I work with people, when they come to me and they're like, Brandon, I feel like I've lost control. Yeah. The first question I ask is, well, when did you let go? But let go of what?
Right.
Yeah. Their willpower, WILL.
Right.
Power. Now, if you look up willpower by definition, it means the ability to control your thoughts and behavior through difficult situations.
Yeah.
And that's our willpower. When we let go of that, we allow the gravity of our circumstance to take us downhill.
Yeah.
And it's by, allowing our circumstances to control our thoughts and our emotions when ultimately we're the ones in charge of that.
Yeah.
And so I've always learned that you can't press forward thinking downhill thoughts.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And I've had one accident when I was 12. It took me 5 years to learn how to speak again.
Yeah.
That was difficult. And the next accident was when I was 18. Broke my neck. A freak diving accident. The accident after that is I froze to death.
Yeah.
And then
right. So before you get to the last one, everyone's, we're all thinking like, oh yeah, no, I've got a difficult situation to overcome. I need to, it's like, no, like you have overcome like amazing odds and amazing traumatic experiences, and freezing to death and breaking your neck and all of that. What was the last one?
Last one, it was a freak driving accident. I was just on the highway and someone decided to hit me head on. And I'm like, here we go again.
Oh, geez.
And another remodeling experience in my life.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
there's been 4 of them. And that's what the book's about.
Yeah, this book, We Are All
Amazing.
Paralyzed. There's so many, golly, your brushes with death. It really is what they are. And then on top of that, it's overcoming the effects of that. How do you overcome a traumatic brain injury while in junior high? Was it junior high?
Yeah.
And I mean, junior high is hard enough. You know that.
I was like, yeah. Yep.
Junior high's hard.
Absolutely.
Right? Okay, and then on top of that, you've got a traumatic brain injury it's all in the book. It's phenomenal, but overcoming that. And then, then the wheelchair. Is there ever a time where you said, like, God, when is enough enough?
Yeah, there's been times where I've questioned, can I really do this?
Yeah.
We're always taught that God doesn't give you, any trials that you can't bear.
Right.
And I kind of question, really? Do you think that's the case sometimes? Because this is pretty hard for me.
Yeah.
But I've realized is that when we look at our weaknesses as strengths, as God, what can I learn from this?
Mm-hmm.
That's when we truly can become powerful. And I fully believe that, the trials of our seasons, we all have trials. They will eventually pass.
Yeah.
But that growth from them lasts forever.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm grateful for.
Awesome.
And with trials, they can either make us bitter, and trust me, I've been there,
Yeah.
or they can make us better.
Yeah.
And it's all how we choose to focus on it.
Yeah.
And adapt. And that's what I try to teach, and that's what the book's about. And that's why I call it We're All Paralyzed.
Yeah.
Because we all have our issues. We're all bound captive by weaknesses of some sort in this life.
Yeah.
If it's, you can see my weakness right now. It's obvious. I'm in a chair. Other weaknesses aren't so subtle. Mm-hmm. They're hidden. They're weaknesses of thoughts, attitudes, addictions, weaknesses of the flesh, whatever they may be. We all have weaknesses. But through the weaknesses, we have an opportunity to become refined through them and become better.
Yeah.
And it's all how we choose to look at it.
Yeah.
I've come to the conclusion that pain it's just part of life.
Yeah.
We
all have to experience it.
absolutely. Yeah. But suffering is optional.
Yeah. I was like,
Right.
Well,
Your
yeah,
attitude.
You're
attitude.
saying we were all paralyzed, and I liked how you explained of, like, even though you might not be physically paralyzed, but we all have our struggles, and that can paralyze us from not continuing moving forward with life.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I think that was awesome.
Yeah. Also, kind of going back to what I was saying in the fatherhood monologue, that there's power in yet, right? And I think that, God has that understanding where we are going through this life and we're saying, I suck at this. This is awful. This is terrible. I'm not good at this, whatever that is. And he's up there going, yet, right? Just keep powering through, just keep pressing forward, and you're going to get through this. Just trust me, and you'll get it, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I totally agree. Yeah. Well, since I know there's so many teenagers, but a lot of kids my age are like the kids in your book. So like, what do you have? Do you have a message for teenagers?
Yeah.
You know, the most important message I give to anybody, teenagers or adults, is to find your God-given purpose. Yeah. Now, Roosevelt, you know your purpose. You're very talented with your voice and that gives you a purpose, right? You know, regardless of what's going on in your life, you can always choose what God gave you. And the thing that I think it's so crucial for people to realize is that we either run our lives from fear or love. Yeah. Fear tells you have to go and find your purpose out in the world. Love tells you that you've been born with one.
Yeah.
When we can find what we're born with, our God-given gifts, our cause, why we are here, then we can embrace that. And we can hold on to that, where we're not chasing after our meaning. We already have it. Yeah. We cultivate it. Yeah. And sometimes it takes weaknesses for us to go through to find it, to cultivate that weakness, to pull it out of us, to refine us. Yeah. And so my number one issue with even Press Forward is it's find your purpose. Yeah. Find your purpose. Because if you don't find your purpose, your circumstances will decide for you.
And that's where that downhill slide, right?
Absolutely.
And I do think, I mean, we've got 6 kids. I've got 3 teenagers. And obviously, you know, Roosevelt has found her purpose in this. But it's interesting that if there's not that purpose, that it becomes almost cruise control of just like, well, this is just, I wake up and what am I going to do today that's different than I did yesterday, right?
True. When you don't have that purpose, you allow yourself to be the passenger of life. Yeah. And life will take you wherever it takes you. Wherever it takes you. And you know, my life could have taken me, I could have just been mad at life. Yeah. And because if I allowed my circumstances to decide that, that's where I would have gone. Yeah. Just like we all have a decision to make. But when you choose and when you embrace your purpose, then you can be the driver of it, regardless. Yeah. You know, fear tells you, what if this happens? Yep. Yeah. Love tells you, even if.
Even if, yeah. So to kind of elaborate a little bit more on her question, because I think that when you find something like what Roosevelt's doing, like, hey, I'm going to go out and raise $1 million for abused children. Yeah. I'm going to start a TV show, a talk show that helps to spread a message. Now, this is extreme, right? So when we talk about purpose, and the teenager that's listening right now is just a normal, regular teenager. With most likely without the purpose of starting a talk show, raising $1 million, and making that significant of a difference. What then might be something a little bit more of like maybe a next step for the teens or even the adults of how, like, what's my next step to maybe understand that purpose?
Yeah, you're born with a purpose, but in order to fully embrace it, you have to just start doing the little things. Yeah. So, I work with clients where their gifts are they're good at playing an instrument. All right, let's start with that. Right. Let's start developing that. And what do I mean by developing? I want them to utilize what I call deeds, and deeds mean something. It's an honorable, praiseworthy act. And I believe that when we're in the action of doing things, that's when we truly find ourselves and find that purpose. And so to me, deeds mean something. It's developing your God-given gifts. It's exercising. It's establishing meaningful relationships. D is devotion. And then S is service. Yeah. And if you're involved in deeds, in positive action, your purpose is going to be manifested in just doing that, where you're going to find your gifts. Yeah. You're going to find your purpose because you're acting out of love and you're performing deeds. And I think deeds are crucial for all of us. Yeah. If it's I think the biggest enemy of not finding a purpose, I call it blast. It's boredom, loneliness, angry, sadness, and tired.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so when we're not in action, we're not going to find it. We're not going to be it.
Yeah.
It's always being in action. That's why I say we have to press forward. You know, you either act or you're being acted upon. You either press forward or you roll backward.
Yeah.
There's only directions we can go.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, moving forward, even just taking those day by day, like what deed can I do today? What kind of a service or outside of myself, thought, action is that step? And that, you know, like I said, a step is a movement forward, as opposed to just, you know, letting go and sliding. I've worked with so many teens that just have a tendency to just be coasting. And I think a lot of it is there's not really this drive by other teens, the ones that they hang out with, right? But I also think that carries over then into adulthood. You know, how many teens are now adults, you know, and having, you know, looking at their circumstances and saying, this is just how life is.
Yeah. And that's why it sometimes takes a trial to shake that out of them.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's why trials can be beautiful.
Yes.
Because once you have a trial, you realize, well, what I'm doing right now isn't going to give me the answers that I need to find.
Yeah.
And so it wakes us up. It reminds us. It in a sense, it eliminates the artificialities out of us, out of life, where we have to cling to really what's true and what's meaningful. And that's the beauty of adversity. It's there to prove us.
Yeah.
And then our proof is where we go. Do we reach out in lightness? Do we act out in light?
Yeah.
Do we live in the light of who we are, or do we reach out in darkness?
Yeah, I totally agree. We have one last question. Is with everyone that is listening, we would like to ask you, what is your final message you would like to leave with us and everyone who's listening? Your final message.
Well, great. Well, my final message is just to embrace who you are, develop your purpose, find what your gifts are, find what your cause is. Because if you know your cause and you know your gifts, you can utilize those to overcome whatever difficulty comes your way. And I want everyone to know that it's our challenges and it's our adversities that we go through that can strengthen us.
Yeah.
And it reminds us that reminds us that we're more than what we see. And adversity tends to make us look at life differently and to focus on the higher power. And it develops, it refines us. And my message is just to press forward and with steadfastness, in faith. And that'd be my message. And that's something that I believe that's my purpose. I think that's why I'm still alive. And there's many times where God could have taken me. And I've realized is that the reason why I'm still here is to help those that are struggling to find their own purpose, to help those that are paralyzing themselves by being held captive by their thoughts, their actions, and switching those thoughts and actions to magnify who they are and who God wants them to be. Yeah. And so that'd be my message.
Thank you.
Yeah, fantastic.
Amazing.
Yeah, we want to give away a book.
Yes.
Can we do that?
Absolutely.
And it is autographed.
Yeah. We have.
It is autographed.
We also have blankets
So
from Floor.
yeah,
Amazing blankets.
Tell us about these blankets. What is the connection? Why are we giving away this blanket with this book?
Well, they go hand in hand. I mean.
Yeah. By the way, these blankets are amazing.
So amazing.
Yeah. These blankets, I mean, I'm man enough to say that when I was little, I had a blankie.
Yeah.
All right.
Everyone
did.
We all did.
Well, that is my man version of my blankie now. I can't live without it. They're amazing, bamboo, soft. Roosevelt, I know you've enjoyed yours.
I have one. They're so amazing.
But I love the message behind it, and
yeah.
and the woman, the lady, the love of my life, who was who created this. It's a special message, and it's wrap the world in you.
Yeah.
And we talked about embracing our purpose. Well, that's the whole concept of this blanket, is wrap yourself around who you are and embrace that and find strength in you. And so it's a great product and a great message, and yeah.
And got a book and
we
a
want to
blanket,
give this away. We want to do a little social media, right?
So go follow us on Instagram, and we'll be posting a little bit more about it. And
and make sure that you follow all of us on Instagram.
Yes.
Music and the Message, Roosevelt Sings, Jester Jeff, Brandon Sulser. Follow us all. Follow Calor Rap, right? Follow all of that and enter to win. Type done in the comments when you've done all that.
Yeah.
Right? And for extra points, you can subscribe to the Music and the Message show on YouTube and Roosevelt Sings. Turn on all those notifications and everything.
Yeah.
Right?
So thank you. And
Brandon, you're amazing.
Thank you.
I honestly could sit here and just listen to you for hours and hours and hours. Your message, like I said, everybody's got a story, and your story's like amazing. But also your message. We appreciate you sharing that with us. And thank you for being on our show.
It's a pleasure, and I could honestly sit here forever as well.
Nice.
Oh, thank you.